Hey, good morning, team. This is Brian Gill from Thumbprint. This is Brand Chain Chats, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend Jed from Stakes Manufacturing. Jed, good morning, man. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. What everyone doesn't know is that we've been talking for 45 minutes together about all kinds of cool stuff that you're doing, and there's no way to cram this into 10 minutes. So let's get started quickly. Give us an overview, man, of who you are, the company, and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you. Uh, Obviously, as you mentioned, Jed Seifert, co-founder Stakes Manufacturing. We are one of the largest B2B print-on-demand providers in the U.S. We offer a combination of direct to garment and direct to film. And our business is really split into two parts, which is direct to consumer individual order fulfillment. So, you go to Beatles.com, you buy a shirt, we ship it to the end consumer. It gets white labeled as if we're Sony Music Group and the Beatles shop, and delivered to the end consumer. And Stakes doesn't even exist. We're just the guy behind the guy. And then we also have the other half of our business is quick turn, low minimum wholesale. So stuff that the screen printers typically don't want to do or avoiding doing. Actually, screen printers are some of our best partners on the wholesale side of the business. So minimums as low as 24 pieces, shipping directly to retailers, events, bands out on tour, distribution centers for quick replenishment, the whole nine.
That's awesome, man. Very cool. Well, one thing I want to bring up here was we noticed that your company was recently given the ASP's and Employer Award for embracing and training and developing job seekers with disabilities. From what we understand here at Brand Chain, the subject's deeply personal to you, and I was wondering if you mind sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So my brother's got disabilities. Him getting a job 23 years ago in the mailroom of the Securities and Exchange Commission changed his life, gave him
Mhm.
financial independence, the ability to move out of my parents' house, find purpose, happiness, work friends, all the things that everybody deserves and a lot of people
Yeah,
take for granted. Changed his life and changed my family's life. You have anybody who's got somebody with disabilities in their life, you worry about what's going to happen after you die, right? So financial
yeah, man.
independence, pretty much one of the most important things that you can have, period. And so when we started Stakes, our first initiative day one was we wanted it to be a very inclusive business, and inclusion oftentimes is just race, religion, sexual orientation. Disabilities
Yeah,
oftentimes just gets left out in the dark and forgotten. And folks with developmental disabilities have an 80% unemployment rate, and that's not because they don't want to work; it's because people aren't actively hiring folks. So
yeah,
we want to sort of work towards providing the same opportunities my brother got at our company, but we wanted to go above and beyond that and impact change industry wide. And
yeah,
for us, that was kind of proving to the print industry, which is behind the times in inclusion, to be quite frank, that this is something that everybody should be doing, but also educating people that this is not charity. This is not
yeah,
warm and fuzzy. We're talking about meaningful employment with a true ROI
yeah.
to the employer and meaningful employment to the employee. And some of our best employees, I mean, our top warehouse employee out of 40 is a gentleman with
Really?
autism, and that's based off of speed and accuracy. And he was a graduate from our school to work transition program, where we have a
Mhm.
partnership with the local county school system where we have 12 interns a semester who get an on-site job mentor, learn the job, and then when they graduate, potentially, if it's a good fit for them, a good fit for us, have the ability for full-time employment. Our top shipper out of about 35 is another gentleman with autism, and that's based on the speed, accuracy, and attendance. So some of our most reliable, most trusted employees, and he applied to work with us just because we put in all of our ads that we hire people with all abilities. So
That's cool,
um,
man.
mention
That's
our award. We're super proud to get that National Employer of the Year award from
mhm,
APSI, who is they're the national trade organization of all the
mhm.
disability employment service providers. And why I do interviews like this and many speaking engagements at trade shows is to really help educate the community on disability employment service providers who will help you find, screen, hire, onboard, and train employees with disabilities at no cost to the employer, right? So you get a free hiring agency, you get a free training manager,
Cool.
and really a lot of folks don't know that those things exist, and there's local providers
Yeah.
all over the country. And again, free to the employer.
Well, as someone who has a son with autism, I can tell you, man, thank you, bud. That's a really cool thing. I love you're clearly passionate about it, and it sounds like it's done wonders for your business too. I mean, what is you mentioned our industry is way behind the times. Why? Like, what is it that's so different about our industry? I mean, is our line of work ideal for those with developmental disabilities? Is it the wrong line of work for them? Like, obviously, you're proving it's not. So why are we so behind, and what can we do differently?
So I think our industry is in general behind on the times. Inclusion. It's just for lack of a better, it's a bunch of old white dudes. Like that's the most part of the industry, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
inclusion needs to catch up, right? And
yeah,
I think you're
yeah.
seeing a lot of improvements. But I sit on the board of directors for the Disability Employment Service Provider SEEP that services my brother here in the DC area. And
Yeah.
we work with Hilton and Embassy Suites and the National Institute of Health and CVS and Walgreens. And I'm sitting there going, why don't we work with any printers or any distributors or any 3PLs? Because everything in our building is repetitive, right? We've got low
It's
skilled
true.
repetitive tasks. We've got high skilled repetitive tasks. And most people put people with disabilities in a box and only think about the low skilled, but the high skilled makes just as much sense. And there's a spectrum
Mhm.
of disabilities that people have. I mean, you said your son has autism, even autism in itself, huge spectrum of kind of
Of
abilities where
course.
could fall on
Yeah.
it, right? And
Yep.
so once I saw that, I go, well, we got to do something about it. Not just at our company, we have to educate other folks. And because there's so much repetition, I think 95% of the tasks in our building are repetitive, right?
Yeah. Of course.
That's where people with disabilities flourish and
Yeah.
they find home and they excel. Whereas people without disabilities oftentimes
Yeah.
find the tasks monotonous. They tend to be
Yeah.
the highest turnover jobs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've got this
Interesting.
industry, not just our industry, all the industries basically at this point are having struggling hiring people. Yet you've got
Yeah.
this untapped resource that's willing to go to work, will be some of your
What?
happiest employees, some of your most grateful employees,
Yeah.
and the benefits of hiring them will
Mhm.
be widespread within your company. It'll teach your other employees empathy
I
with
was
them.
about to ask you, what's it mean to the other employees? Like, what does it? How does this fill their cup, or does it? You know?
So it does, right? Because it gives more meaning to their job, right? I had a
Yeah.
manager in our warehouse where we started in the warehouse, but we have people working 300-degree heat presses. We have people operating $750,000 DTG equipment. We've got shippers, receivers, warehouse folks. We've kind of got folks in every aspect of our business at this point. And what we've seen is that, again, it gives me, so I'll give you an example. The warehouse manager we started, I said, hey man,
Mhm.
we're a for-profit business. All right. We're
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
nonprofit.
Of course.
You
Yep. Of
got KPIs, you got numbers you got to hit. If this is going to impact your ability to hit your numbers, we need to know, we need to make changes. Right.
course. Yep.
Came to him about a month later. I said, look, how's it going? Oh, it's going great. I go, no, but how's how's it impacting your ability to hit the numbers? And he goes, Jed, some of my best employees, you can just look at the leaderboard on the KPIs, have disabilities. All right. He goes, and more importantly, I used to come to work and just move cardboard and cotton around a facility. Because now I come to work and I feel like I'm changing people's lives because I am.
It's
Like,
amazing.
you
That's
can't put a
it.
price on that feeling. And we've had employees that have come to us. We have this wonderful lady who came to me and said, hey, you know what? I could have left and made an extra dollar an hour at Amazon, but I've got a daughter who's deaf and I love what you're doing here, right?
That's
So
cool,
I think
man.
it gives more meaning to people's jobs and also gives more meaning to their, the relationships that they have with their fellow coworkers and their managers and their leaders. And our managers and leaders have become better managers and leaders because of it. Because,
That's
we
cool,
talk
man.
about, you might have to tailor some of your training to be more appropriate to that individual, but you should be doing that
Mhm.
with all individuals because everybody has strengths and weaknesses. And it's our
Yeah.
job as leaders to cultivate people's strengths and mitigate their weaknesses, whether their weakness is their disability or not, right?
Look, we're doing the same thing with our clients all day, right? Like, not all clients are the same. Not all clients within the same company are the same. I mean, we do the same thing with our customers all the time. We probably don't do as good of a job sometimes with our own team, right? We're all too busy. The one question I want to ask though is the last question I want to ask is how do we look into where do you go to find these employees? Like, what is the hire? How does the hiring process work for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the most important thing is to find the right support organization, right? So no
Okay.
different than finding the right hiring agency for folks that don't have disabilities to really
Yeah.
make sure that you're kind of getting the best talent and the most appropriate talent. So
Yep.
you can find those local disability employment service providers by
Yep.
either going to your state vocational rehabilitation office, which
Okay.
uh, some of those state vocational rehabilitation offices will even provide those services. And if they don't provide those services, they'll refer you to a local provider who will. There's an organization called APSI, who we mentioned earlier, who we got the National Employer
Yep.
of the Year. They're apse.org. They will refer you to a local service provider if you reach out to them. There's another wonderful organization called the ARC. That's the arc.org. They have local
Awesome.
chapters all over the country. They can, some of their chapters actually provide these job services. Some of them will just
Okay.
refer to local providers. And then also, my name's Jed Seifert, and from Stakes Manufacturing. You can find me on LinkedIn, and all you got to do is send me a message, tell me what your address is, a little bit about your company, and then I'll connect you with the local service provider, because this is what I'm passionate about, and I really, myself, our entire staff, my co-founder, our entire business, for us, it means the world to not just change the lives of people we work with, but to help guide other people and how they can reap the benefits and the true ROI of hiring people with disabilities. And also, just the impact that it's going to have on their organization, the impact it's going to have on them. And I think
Yep.
what we've also seen is the younger generation cares more about social impact. So people also want to work with companies that are making a social impact, right?
Yeah.
There's people finding
100%, man.
somebody who can print t-shirts is a dime a dozen. If you can find somebody who can do it damn well, but then also is giving back to the community and doing good, I think that it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, you can drop the mic, bud. You already told people how to connect with you. You beat me to it. Awesome story on, I mean, look, for those of you guys, please check out Jed, check out his company. They do amazing work, incredible product. But as you can see, the impact they're making in people's lives, I think is a really cool story that's worth sharing. And I think we could all, do a better job, right? So hopefully everybody's inspired by this and do some research and and Jed, dude, thanks again, man. I know I'll be reaching out. I know you. I'm sure you're going to get some responses, some emails, some messages on LinkedIn. Thanks again for joining us, bud. Have an awesome day, and
I'd like
I
to add
wish we
one,
had
if you
another
don't
20 minutes. Go ahead. Yeah,
Right, I'd like to add one thing, just for people
go
getting
ahead.
started too, because I think the biggest hurdle is getting started, right? Once people get
Of
started, you
course.
get one employee, you're gonna see the impact. You're gonna want to double down the whole nine, right?
Yeah,
But number one, you don't need to know anything about people with disabilities to get started. That's what these organizations are out there to support you to do. They'll train
got
you,
it.
they'll train your
Yep.
managers. Number two, you don't have to worry about what job in your organization they can work, because part of what these organizations will do is they'll come in and they'll do an audit of your business to understand all the open positions and where there might be fits. You might think the fit is somebody picking up boxes and moving around the office, but you might have a job opening for data entry that they have the perfect candidate for, right? So there's a huge spectrum of jobs. Also, there's a lot of people with disabilities because of archaic policies and laws that we're working on the federal level to try to change as we speak, that prohibit people with disabilities from working over part-time, or they lose some of their benefits. So there's also a huge pool of people that want to work part-time jobs as well. So you might only have a part-time
Sure.
position open. So again, don't get caught up in worrying about I don't have the position or I don't have the right leadership team. Just reach out to these folks, start the conversation, understand the
Yeah.
model, start working with them. And I guarantee you that you will see the success that it impacts your business. Your employees will appreciate you for it. Your clients will appreciate you for it. And it will bring more meaning to your day-to-day life, which to me, you can't put a price tag on. And thank you guys for having me
Of
and
course, man.
providing a platform for us to continue to kind of champion this to the rest of the industry.
That's it, man. Well, I appreciate you, bud. All right, you guys. You guys heard it. Get started. No excuses. So, Jed, thanks, man. I'm sure we'll be in touch again soon. And that's it for today's episode. See you guys next week.
Thank you.